entertainmentbuddha.com.
Everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Star Wars Time. It is your host, the main host, well, host number one. Host number two, Nick, is here as well. But we're ready to bring you a new discussion, new tangents, new bullshit, new wrong speculations on all things Star Wars. So this week, you know, it's been kind of light in terms of big Star Wars reveals, in terms of new shows or movie ideas, movie leaks, this, that, and the other thing. Solo has again gone dormant. I mean, we were questioning where it was. It came out and literally was smacking us in our face for a week straight, and then it went right back into its groundhog hole. So it could be a short cast, but you never know. With Nick and I, it's a Friday night. I've had a few beers. Nick's been doing what he usually does, which we don't know. We don't ask. So it could turn into an hour and a half discussion on just random Star Wars bullshit, but that's why we call it Star Wars Time, because we're here to talk about that galaxy from so far, far away that we all love. All right, my friend. So, you know, like I kind of teased, nothing really major this week, but I think some cool topics popped up nonetheless.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, Disney at this point, they might not be slapping us with Solo all the time, but they are giving us little nuggets here and there. I mean, we had a good reveal on a TV show that's coming up. We had a TV show end. And then, you know, we had a little heartfelt moment.
I mean, dude, if you want to, I guess, you know, we are a little mistaken. We did get some Solo news, but it's probably not the news Disney would want.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about something Solo
just real quick, I mean, it is kind of interesting. And again, it's going to be quick. Just search on the internet. It's out there. It's a story. But apparently those cool-looking Western-style, like, bleed-through posters that they released for Solo are essentially straight jacks of a Sony Entertainment promotion.
Yep. There was a guy who came out and filed a lawsuit against Disney because he said that his design was stolen. And, I mean, after looking at, you know, the articles and the comparisons of the Solo posters to his work from, I think it was 2 years ago for a film or a music festival, they're literally exactly the same. Like, there is no change.
Same colors, everything.
Same colors, same style. The only thing that's different is, like, the characters that are portrayed and what's in the background. So, like, they were straight jacked. But, you know, Disney, their response to it was like, hey, we didn't make these posters. We subcontracted somebody out to do it. So, like, if you can't...
And yeah, I actually just read an update on the story today, and apparently the guy making that claim has already deleted the post on Facebook. So, I mean, who knows what that means? But, it doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist or an art doctorate to look at these two prints and be like, huh, that would be really, really, really unique for two humans to come up with that same concept without seeing someone do it
exactly.
first.
Like, there's no way that's going to happen. So
that's not a coincidence.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, the guy having removed the post, what happened was Disney, when they first heard about it, like, they put out a little update, a little PR thing saying that, you know, the posters were created by an outside vendor, and it's something we're currently looking into. This was on 3/5, which was Monday. And if the post is deleted already today, what happened was they looked at this dude's work, saw it was legit, and then they realized, like, oh, fuck. They slipped him some money, and they're like, look, just don't make a big deal out of this.
Yeah, more than likely, Nick's probably right. Like, this is probably a backroom deal, you know, some sort of lawyer-to-lawyer deal.
Yeah.
And let's just get this off the news blotter. See ya.
Here's $100,000. Keep your mouth shut. Enjoy the movie. And then that's how they handled that. But it is kind of funny. I mean, like, The posters look fucking awesome. I mean, we should, we put them up on the Entertainment Buddha site before. We talked about them on the cast. I mean, they look sick, but
they look cool. I mean, I really don't blame the person for stealing.
Yeah, really. I mean, if you find something that sweet looking and you can present it to Disney and say like, "Hey, here's your Solo posters," and they buy it from you, then good on you. But I guess if the people who originally created it get a hold of that and see it, then you're kind of fucked. So. But yeah, that's the only bit of Star Wars Solo, a Star Wars story news that we have for this week. So not exactly good, but it's not anything that's gonna like hurt the film or anything like that. Like Alden Ehrenreich didn't come out and say that he was forced to act in this under duress. So everything's still good in that area. So to transition to what?
Well, I mean, it's not even that big of a transition, right? Because this guy is connected to Solo, and shit. Hold on, I got a breakthrough for you because I guarantee you didn't see this, and I hate myself for not posting it. But we speaking from my point of view, me and the mouse in my pocket, migrated entertainmentboo.com this week, which is a 8-year-old site with 18,000 posts. So not a small undertaking. Migrated to a new host. So I've been consumed and didn't get to do a lot of writing this week. But something I did stumble upon, my friend, is a name for Favreau's character.
A name? Go ahead and reveal that.
And it comes by way of a Funko Pop reveal, believe it or not.
Oh, shit. These toy reveals, dude, we always come up with those.
So, I actually got a name for the guy that we think's going to be the main bad guy, too. I don't know if you've seen that.
I know that you had mentioned before that it might have been Malik. But okay.
No. Okay, so Favreau's guy, if he is the four-arm guy, Rio Durant. Fantastic,
right?
Right?
It's a great fucking name.
Rio Durant.
Oh, man, that's good.
All right, and the other guy, and again, who knows if I'm getting the pronunciation right. I'm going to try two, because I think his first name could potentially be pronounced two different ways. I think it's going to be... Actually, I think there is only one way. It's spelled Enfys. So to me, I think that's Enfys.
Yeah, that's what my thought was too. Yeah.
Okay. Enfys Nest is the guy or the girl that we think could be, potentially an antagonist in Solo.
And this is the leader of the Raiders?
Yeah, it's a dude with the cool fucking face mask on.
Okay. So Rio
and
Durant.
the other big reveal from this is we're going to get I don't know if this is an official name or a description, but a Mud Trooper.
Mud Trooper, that seems like something that would...
Mud Trooper, all one word.
Okay, yeah. So...
Where the Range Trooper, which was revealed, we talked a few weeks ago on a podcast in the Star Wars Black Series line, the Range Trooper was revealed, but it's Range Space Trooper. This guy, Mud Trooper, just like Stormtrooper, all one word.
Yeah. So is that going to be associated with the prison planet, you think? Because Han and Chewie look pretty dirty. Totally. I mean, I thought at one time the Range might be those guys. Yeah.
But considering that we've already seen a toy set of Han in very Imperial-looking gear and Chewie with anklets and they're covered in mud... Yeah. The fact that they literally went out of their way to name this trooper a Mud Trooper, all one word, like to me, that is an official designation. It's no different than a Stormtrooper, a Scout Trooper, a Death Trooper, right?
100%.
It's weird. I mean, what the fuck do you need a Mud Corps for, I guess?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it's got to be purely for camouflage and shit within that area, right? Like they have to be like...
Yeah, or it's just purely narrative driven, like we needed this guy to be a mud guy and mud this and mud that and mud it up. I don't know, but it's just odd that Range Trooper, Range Space Trooper, Mud Trooper, literally MUD Trooper.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely, like you said, connected to Stormtrooper and all the other ones that we know that are one word, so
so anyways, if you're Funko Pop people, it looks like at least the initial wave for Solo is going to be Han, Chewie with goggles on, Lando with pistol looking pimp, Kira in her black outfit, Tobias Beckett in an outfit we haven't seen him in the trailers. He's got like almost Jyn Erso goggles on, like a helmet like that. Val looking like Val. Rio Durant, the four-armed Favreau guy, looking cool. Leet, Range Trooper, Emphas Nest, and Mud Trooper.
It's a good start.
So yeah, they look good. I mean, I've lost a lot of my love for Pops. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's been a hard thing to process considering how much money I've spent on them and how many of them I have. But they just don't do it for me anymore. Outside, clearly the Star Wars I'm still into, but it's a good looking wave. It's a good looking wave. If you're a Funko Pop fan, and you specialize in Star Wars, I mean, this is a full wave collection. There's no doubt about it.
All right.
No doubt about it. They look good.
There you go. Are there any exclusives?
Sorry, a
It's
little,
not
little
like
tangent
exclusive
there.
to any store or anything like that?
Well, I mean, this is just, it's a back of a box, so that it never designates, but I guarantee one or two of these probably will be exclusives.
Yeah, figures. But all right, we'll keep an eye out for that shit. And then...
Yeah, I just thought it was cool that I saw that. I don't know if it's out there. I mean, I haven't even searched, like... I guess, go ahead, transition, but I'm going to search if Rio Durant's even on the internet.
Yeah, see if it's out there yet. And then, speaking of Jon Favreau's character in Solo...
Yeah, there it is. 2 days ago, Star Wars Newsnet picked up on it.
Favreau has popped up in another piece of Star Wars news outside of Solo, and that is that he will be producing and writing the new live-action Star Wars TV show that will be on Disney's streaming service, 2019.
I mean, dude, how out of nowhere was that announcement?
That was insane, because pretty much we had talked about it.
We've talked about it on multiple casts. I mean, and even when I wrote on the news story, I even said, like, we've basically had our balls tickled since 2006, 7.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with George,
right?
Yeah, George used to talk about a live-action Star Wars show back then, right after Revenge of the Sith wrapped up. Just to keep it going, keep it fresh. Obviously, it never happened with him. We had Clone Wars in his time. And then when Disney took it over, we kind of let go of the idea of live-action Star Wars when Rebels was announced and then had its run. But now, with this new streaming service, like, they're going back. And, I mean, I'm excited. I will say that, like, the idea of a live-action Star Wars TV show does kind of, like, it scares me a little bit because, man, when you see live-action Star Wars, you're thinking of a movie, a film. Like, you're in the big screen in front of the, the lights and everything like that.
Totally. That's all we know. That's all we know.
Well, I mean, you've had the small stuff, like back in the 80s.
I mean, you had
with
shit like
Battle for Endor and everything like that.
Exactly, Sindel and all those motherfuckers.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Christmas special, I mean, we've had stuff on television before, but it was never to this magnitude.
But yeah, we're talking like 30 years at this point.
And that was before the OT even wrapped up, or around the same time that it wrapped up. So... This being a persistent, we're assuming that it's going to be more than one season. This is
brand new territory. I mean, brand new for Star Wars. Brand new.
Well, I mean, Disney going to their tried and true workhorse. I mean, Jon Favreau has really fucking killed everything he's done for them. I mean, the guy is a fantastic
in the end,
filmmaker.
Let's interject here, and I think we reminded our fans of this even last week. You could pretty much say Jon Favreau is the reason the MCU is where it is today.
Oh, yeah, and that was brought up in...
Without his Iron Man, who knows what happens with the MCU, honestly.
And that was brought up in the press announcement on StarWars.com. It says, Disney's collaborations with Favreau have extended back a decade when he helped launch the MCU as a director for Iron Man and Iron Man 2.
Yeah, I don't know if he wrote it, but I mean he definitely directed it and had a role in it, and it literally is the reason we are now all about to go see fucking Infinity War.
Yeah, if those movies would have flopped, then
think how many movies have come out since that.
Yeah, I mean, shit,
just fantastic movies. I mean, people bitch about maybe first Thor wasn't great, Thor 2 wasn't great, and some of the others, but they're still fucking great movies. There's not a bad MCU film.
No, yeah, I mean you can't
Even the Incredible Hulk isn't bad.
Yeah, I mean, you can't look at any of the current MCU films and be like, man, that's Daredevil level bad. Like, Daredevil, the movie.
Exactly. Or like, hey, that's not Justice
Yeah,
League.
so they may not be, Oscar-worthy films, but they're fantastic films for, comic book nerds, just general geeks who like action movies and stuff like that, and I can identify with superheroes. So, I mean, this dude has done that. Not only has he done that, he was also the director on the live-action Jungle Book. I mean, like we mentioned, he's acting in Solo. He acted in the Iron Man movies.
Cowboys and Aliens, man, even though that's another movie that got a bad rap, that was still a cool concept.
He directed that? Oh, yeah. Shit, I didn't know that. But I watched it. I thought it was. I thought it was a pretty cool concept. I mean,
yeah, that's Favreau.
It wasn't great, but it was pretty fun, from time to time.
I mean, Swingers. I mean, just his actor career.
Yeah. I mean, the dude's...
He started as an actor.
And then, he transitioned successfully into the directing and now producing and writing roles. And then also...
I mean, he's had success on TV. He's got that show on Netflix. So yeah, I mean, and I'm all over this. When I saw it, I was like, sweet. So I guess, Nick, it then leads into, just like we tried to guess for DB Weiss and Benioff and even Johnson, what the fuck's he gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about another TV series here, so I mean, is this Star Wars Resistance, or is Star Wars Resistance what we've already kind of alluded to what we think it's going to be the next animated series? I mean, at this point, it throws a wrench into that, right? Yeah, there's definitely some questions around Resistance now. I mean, if we're going to work off the theory, and this is something that you'll probably bring up a little bit when we talk about the Rebels. Resistance may lend itself more to an animated series if it goes the way that you think it's going to go. But I don't put it past Disney to make that transition from like some animated characters into live action if they really wanted to, because I think they could do it successfully.
Well, we could. We're going to talk about it again, but technically they've already done it with Rex.
With Rex, for sure. I mean, so.
Well, if you want to reach, they've done it. I mean, Princess Leia starred on Rebels.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely done.
Yoda was in Clone Wars.
Well, I know that they've done the live action.
Old Man Kenobi. So I mean, they've done it.
Yeah, they've done live action to digital.
But it was kind of live action to cartoon.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like the cartoon to the live action now. Like if you're gonna have Resistance be a live action and you're gonna bring back Ahsoka or Sabine, you're going to have to cast a live action.
No, yeah. I got you now. Yeah,
right. So it's going to be a different territory. And
I honestly think, because we've established that you're a Star Wars communist, because you weren't a Rebels diehard from day one.
Yeah, you're right.
But or the Clone Wars guy either. But I think most Star Wars fans would probably cut out a kidney to see a live-action Ahsoka, a live-action Sabine, a live-action Hera.
Yeah, dude, I think they would too. And I mean, it's so hard for me to imagine that that's what they're gonna do. Though, is like the animated series have been so successful, just in terms of fan reception and just people watching it, and the length of their runs. I know that Rebels only went 4, but it's not because. Disney was like, we got to kill it. That's another
reason I really think that what our main discussion is going to be, I honestly think that was done on purpose to move into this next chapter.
Yeah.
But it's still going to feature a lot of the characters.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I really think...
Because I'm with you, man. When I was at Celebration, that's where they announced it. I mean, I was in the panel when Filoni made the announcement, and there were like people crying.
Yeah. I remember you...
Because I don't think any of us... I mean, I didn't. I was like, this show is fantastic. It's only season 4. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean, I really think it's due to what I mentioned last week, and that's... They really want to transition into this new time period that is more in line with the films.
No, you're 100% right. It's... The writing's on the wall, people. I mean... And I don't blame them. I really don't. Because in the end, I think just even... language of the deal, I've said this 1,000 times, the Lucas eras are pretty much off limits.
Locked down, yeah.
Yeah, don't fuck with them. anything outside of that, go ahead. And naturally, that's why they're going to gravitate, and that's why they have gravitated to the new Skywalker trilogy, which is essentially the end of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
They're making that clear. I mean, they killed Han, they killed Luke, and we're almost positive Leia's probably going to be dead by the beginning of episode 9.
Yeah, like the very, very beginning of episode 9.
Opening crawl funeral. That's what we said last week.
I feel like that's what it's got to be. So, honestly,
I do too.
If I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about what Favreau can do. And we talked about, what we speculated on for Weiss and Benioff. But we also have to remember for them, they talked about a series of films, not a series for TV, like a TV series. They're talking about films for them. So if
two different monsters, like they're not even close.
No, not even close at all.
I know people understand that. Like this shit we're getting on Netflix right now, this is essentially like a trilogy or a quadrilogy in one go. Like in one shoot, they shoot 4 movies. I mean, you're getting at times 13 hours of content.
Yeah, exactly. Like
that's a massive fucking movie.
Yeah, massive chunk of time, huge content.
I mean, come on.
So what I'm thinking is if Resistance does end up being the cartoon series and it's placed in that time period that we talked about, and it includes characters like Sabine and Ahsoka, then I don't think that Favreau's show can take place in that time period too. I don't think you can have a live action and an animated.
No way. So, okay, dude, let's just go. Do you think they kind of stick to George's original vision and this is going to be the Underworld show?
It could. I mean, it definitely could.
Like just totally focused on the underbelly of Coruscant. Literally, that's it. I mean, sure, you might get some trips outside of the central city, but the main deal is going to be on the shady side of Coruscant, the underworld.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if there's...
Because that's what George wanted to do. I mean, and even that's what 1313 was going to be, the video game.
Yeah.
I mean, there was big plans at Lucasfilm before the acquisition for this focus on Coruscant's seedier sections.
I mean, I don't know if Disney wants to, or if they feel comfortable diving into that prequel era, though. Like, going back to that time period, they know it's the least popular of the entire saga.
Does it even have to be prequel era? I mean, Coruscant exists through the Battle of Endor and beyond,
it
right?
Does.
It's not like the rebels blew up Coruscant.
Yeah, it does, but I think it loses its significance if it's not the center of politics. So I mean, you could set it during the Imperial reign, like during the OT, and have it be.
Well, it's still the center of the galaxy. It's probably even. I mean, Coruscant's probably even more of a symbol by the time it becomes the headquarters of power. I mean, it is the Empire's capital.
Yeah,
it's no longer just where the Senate's. Yeah, it's gone. But this is where the Emperor of the galaxy resides. Yeah. So it's as big as it gets. It's probably even more important than ever.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't know if I want to see that show. I mean, like, I would watch it for sure, but I don't think it's the first thing I want to see. Like, if it gets done, then I wouldn't be upset.
What do you think they can do, though, that's allowed? I mean, are they allowed to do Jedi? Are they allowed to do Sith? Are they allowed to mention known characters even?
100%. I mean, I think that, one, George could not stop them from saying, like, you can't say Jedi or Sith. Like, he can't do it.
No, I'm not talking about George. I'm just saying, like, in terms of Disney's plans, like, would they even allow, I mean, if it's set in the OT, you can't really feature Jedi.
Yeah.
If it's set in the early parts of the Resistance, you can't feature Jedi because we learn in TLJ that the Force is essentially dormant in the galaxy until Luke reminds everyone what it can do.
Yeah, so I mean, that's why I think more than likely, if anything, this TV show might be Old Republic, because that's kind of what people have always been screaming
everyone
for.
Goes right for that. So, like, at what point do you think Disney just realizes that's probably what we want?
Yeah, I mean, that's what everybody wants.
Everyone, dude, everyone. I mean, any chance to speculate on a new Star Wars project, where does everyone go? Video game, comic book, movie, it doesn't matter. Where do we go?
Republic, dude. It's the coolest period of time.
We're all begging for KOTOR in real life.
I mean, it's the coolest period of time. And I mean, here's the thing. Like I mentioned before when it came to Ryan's trilogy of films and what needed to be there, what needs to be there for Star Wars is, at least one identifying factor. And the two most clear identifying factors for Star Wars is the Force and lightsabers. So if you do a show that's just like Underworld and Coruscant Bounty Hunters, people are going to know it's Star Wars because of the names of the planets and stuff like that. But I mean, you're removing two of the giant draws into, like the merch that sells. I mean, even looking at Rebels, Rebels was a show that could have done nothing with Jedi just because of the way that it was set up. But I mean, two of the main characters are both Jedi, and the Force played a huge part in both the Clone Wars, all the movies, and then also in Rebels. So I mean, to me, trying to do a show, especially a show that's going to last more than one season, that does not include any of that stuff is going to be difficult, because people are going to be like, it's cool, but is it really Star Wars if it's just a bunch of fucking smugglers walking around in Underworld? Like, where's the Star Wars part of this? And especially if it doesn't leave, like if you just stay in Coruscant and you don't go off planet, like if you don't travel from Coruscant to Tatooine or, any of the other recognizable planets, then like it's not really a Star Wars show. It's just it's like a mafia show with like Star Wars background.
Right.
So like they could do it for sure. I mean, and maybe they throw in Boba Fett, or maybe they throw in Bosk or some other sorts of like really recognizable bounty hunters, drag in some smuggler types and stuff like that, and you can pull it off. But I mean, to me, if you're going to do a show like that, either your main character has to be somebody who's already really well known, or you have to be able to rope them in with like typical heavy Star Wars stuff. Like somebody lights up a lightsaber, somebody fucking flings something across the room with the Force, and then people are in. Once they see one of those two things, like they're in. They're like, this is it, Star Wars time. Here we go. Lightsaber comes on. Fucking Force is flying everywhere. People know it's happening. So I mean, that's just my thoughts on it. I really do want to see something that still involves those two factors too, because to me, like the way that the Force and Jedi interact with their environment, with the galaxy as a whole, and then also that inevitable rise of darkness that is to counter them, is always very intriguing. I mean, it may be played out, but at this point, but I think it's just one of those tried and true things that people will always gravitate towards.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. How far out then do you think we're looking here? I mean, is it going to be right there in 2019 when I think they're planning to launch this new Disney VOD?
I mean, do you think he can have a season 1 ready? He can, right?
I mean, don't you think, is that not just the ultimate app seller there?
Yeah, dude. Oh, yes.
Or do you think Disney's catalog is enough to get people to subscribe? You know what I mean?
Okay, so if you're just a fan of Disney, then like them taking away shit like Moana and all the Disney movies from Netflix is going to be enough to kind of pull you over, especially if you have a kid like you say, Charlie watches.
Oh, dude. I mean,
Moana all the time.
Fucking crack. I am not literally, and there's other parents out there hopefully listening. I'm not fucking around. Since December of 2016, I've probably seen Moana, I don't know, 75 to 80 times.
Yeah. So that will be plenty enough to pull over a lot of people to it.
It's fucking insane.
It is. It's crazy.
Moana, make way, Moana, it's time you knew. The village of Montanui is all you need. I'm telling you, man. I mean, like, it haunts me daily.
It's in his dreams.
The soundtrack is in my head permanently. And I can't even memorize music, but somehow I can memorize that shit.
When you hear it that many times and your kid really loves it, it's going to stick with you, of course.
I wanna see. Oh my god, yeah. No, that's crazy, dude.
Honestly, if we look at the time of this release, I mean, it's early 2018. So we know that he's been working on it already. It's not like they haven't been working on this and they're like, all right, John.
Yeah, so you're saying then this isn't just like, hey, we just signed a deal this week, we're gonna announce it.
Yeah, like they've probably, at the very least, he has a season
They're
outline.
confident in the project at this point, and they're ready, like, all right, let's start pounding our chest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something like that.
Like,
okay.
So to me, they might not announce it, but they'll probably start filming episodes of this year. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be like big press releases around.
And I mean, let's be honest. TV technically can sometimes be shot quicker than film.
Oh yeah, absolutely it can.
Even though they're filming more content, but it's kind of is the benefit of having a longer form type of a season show is that you have that extra time, so you could can like 5 or even half a season, launch it, and then while episodes 1 through 5 are playing, finish shooting 6 through 10.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna. I mean, most shows have like a mid-season break now, so.
And that, yeah, exactly. Like almost all shows now take they have what they call the winter finale, and then the winter premiere, and that's really a lot of times so they can either course correct the narrative if ratings are down, or just to finish shooting the season. Because a lot of these shows, I mean, traditionally are 22, 23 runs.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, it's the Walking Deads of the world that have kind of bucked the system, dropping it down to 16 or less.
Yeah, and I mean, Netflix has its own completely own thing where you're getting 10 episode
Netflix
seasons.
They're kind of a 10 to 13, but that's because they can deliver a full hour of content, where on broadcast TV you're still only getting about a 40-minute show when you account for the commercials and bullshit.
Yeah, so, and that's,
right?
yeah, exactly. Like, you have to work in that commercial time and everything like that, but since this is going to be on a streaming platform, you don't have to worry about it. Like, if he's going to do an hour show, we might only get 13 episodes, but they're going to be a full hour each. And I think that's kind of the direction that I would like to see with it. In terms of time period, like, if it's not Old Republic, I don't feel like it can be now. Like, I don't think it can be in that time period of 7, 8, 9 because of the current speculation around Resistance, that being the animated series. So maybe he kind of does Orion, like he pulls Orion and just like, it doesn't matter when this time period is happening because it's completely separated from the galaxy. Or maybe, I mean, this is way out of fucking left field, but like maybe this show is somehow linked to those films. Like, probably not, but it's something else that could happen when you have. I mean, at this point, Disney is juggling so many different projects. Like, they have Ryan's new trilogy, they have the finishing up of this trilogy, they have the Weiss and Benioff series of films now, they have the new Resistance possible animated series. Like, there's so many balls up in the air that if they wanted to kind of connect these things, they could. It just depends on, in what way you want to do it and what do you want to link to, the other property. So,
right.
I mean, it's like we said before. I mean, it's the best time in the world to be in history to be a Star Wars fan, because, I mean, just look at all this shit.
Well, now, does that not just drive you more nuts when you get like the nut jobs out there?
Oh yeah.
With some of the reactions over 8 and just really Disney in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. People.
It's like what the fuck do you want?
Yeah, I mean, we have more projects for Star Wars in the works right now than there have ever been. I mean, this is including when they were, actively working on video games and stuff. Like, we have multiple series of films coming out. We have multiple TV series coming out. Like, you can't ask for more. I mean, like, you can argue about narrative choices and everything like that, but to say that Star Wars has been ruined is ridiculous. I mean, come to your fucking senses.
Well, dude, have you noticed there's like a new camp out there that just wants everything to return to George, and like only George can save Star Wars at this point?
I just think it's people that are just blind-eyed to the past, honestly. Like there's people out there who legitimately like the prequels, and I mean, I don't know what you can say to them.
And I'm someone, I kid around. I do. I mean, I bust people's balls in the prequels because I really think they're fucking garbage, and they really, at the time, diminished Star Wars for me in totality. Like, I honestly was questioning why I even liked it anymore. But that's me, and just a lot of people I grew up with, a lot of people I know, a lot of hardcore fans share that opinion. So it is surprising to me when I do hear those people out there, and they are out there, that think the prequels are good. And I think these are people that are probably maybe 4, 5, 6 in 99, maybe 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I mean that's what they grew up with. I mean, they probably didn't
so
see...
I mean, I kind of give them a pass because their brains weren't fully developed. Clearly, they didn't really know what was garbage. I mean, they were little kids,
and especially like...
I mean, I watched a little garbage when I was a little kid. Thought that was good, like shit I would never watch today.
I mean, when you don't, especially if it's people who haven't seen the OT before they saw the prequel trilogy, and that was their first experience with Star Wars. You can't discount that for people because it's such a powerful thing, your first Star Wars experience. Like seeing it for the first time in a theater. I mean, for me, it was the prequels, but I had seen the OT before that. So if, a lot of these people, their first experience with Star Wars ever was going to the theater and seeing Episode 1 or Episode 3, then it's understandable because that was their exposure. But for me, my exposure was, it was through home video, but it was all of the original trilogy. And that's kind of where my love grew for Star Wars initially. So when the prequels came out, I was definitely excited, kind of the same as you. I mean, like...
Well, dude, I mean, I was fucking jacked. I mean, I had a subscription to Star Wars Insider. I mean, when that issue came out, like, hey, we're doing this. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. I'm going to get to see brand new Star Wars movies in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Because at that point in time, you people got to understand...
30...
all we had was, I guess, the most exciting thing to get excited... Well, that was stupid. The only thing to get excited about back then in the 90s was the special editions because, hey, Star Wars is going to be in the big screen again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we had to be excited about back then. That's why now we're saying... It's like, what do you people want? I mean, all we're getting is Star Wars left and right.
Yeah, I mean...
But there was a time, after 83, that was it. I mean, yeah, you got some, like, the fucking Ewok Caravan and this, that, and the Battle of Endor, all this dumb shit on TV, which I'm not going to say was dumb because I actually liked it. I liked those TV movies, but that's all we were getting. Star Wars was gone. So when they announced the prequels, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. This is heaven on earth. Yeah, I can tell you right now, I said to people... As long as I live long enough to see the prequels, I'll consider my life complete. And you've heard me talk about the prequels. So don't ever question my loyalty to the Star Wars franchise or Mr. Lucas.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you that they were such a letdown.
Look, I'm in the camp of believing that if Disney chose to, if Lucasfilm, Kathleen chose to, there's a place for George still in the hierarchy of the Star Wars world now. But it's...
Yeah, give him some one-offs. Yeah. Give him his own trilogy. I don't give a shit. Just don't let him touch the Skywalkers again.
To me, like, to give him complete creative control again is definitely a mistake. I mean, he sold it. So you can say what you want. He's not going to sell it if he wasn't done with it. Like... Yeah, you could talk about, they gave him $5 billion and all this shit. Trust me, George Lucas was not hurting for cash. Like, it's not like he sold Star Wars because he was destitute.
It helped. It basically guaranteed that anyone related to him will probably never have to work again for the next 10 generations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it shored up his
Literally until humans destroy ourselves.
Yeah. So
his adopted kids and their 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 kids will always be wealthy.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, that's definitely.
And they would have been that way without the goddamn sale. That's the crazy part.
I mean, that's the point in my mind.
You remember, this man kept the licensing rights. That's how smart he was.
Yeah, he's not an idiot. The guy knows what
People
he's doing.
forget how big of a genius he was when he signed the deal with Fox for the original Star Wars.
Yeah.
He's like, I get full control over the movie, and I get licensing.
Yeah, and that's why Fox has nothing to do with Star Wars anymore. Because they were like, yeah, sure, I guess so. And to me, what he should come back and do, I mean, if they want to give him a one-off, fine. But, like, to me, he is perfect with character development. He's really good with like building the lore behind everything, because I mean that's essentially what he was. He was the lore master. He created everything.
He's a great he's great. He's very creative. He fails in bringing, I think, what's in his head to the screen.
Yeah.
It's not even the visual aspect. Like, he excels at that. I mean, Jesus Christ, the man is essentially responsible for modern visual effects in all of cinema. I mean, it's his guidance to ILM that spawned the shit we see today in movies, where it really is hard to tell if it's a fucking real person or not.
Yeah. I mean,
But where he fails, really, Nick, is probably the screenplay
Yeah, that's
aspect.
what I was going to say. It's the screenwriting. And it's honestly
like the stories. Like, I think his story ideas are great. It's putting them to a screenplay that he just bombed at.
And directing actors, he's not good at, because he's, like you said, he's a technical guy, and that's his strong suit. And in creating stories, but
I also think he comes off as someone who's very, like, almost socially awkward, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like,
even to this day, like, he just always seems awkward in public. Because he's a genius. He's one of those people.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that he's not comfortable
talking to normal
being
people,
in the spotlight and being in the center of attention and stuff like that. But that's not what he was known for. Like, he was never known for being a charismatic personality. He was known for being a fantastic storyteller. So, like, a lot of people like that aren't great in public. And I mean, how many visionary filmmakers are like that, are like very charismatic and can suck up the starlight and be this beacon of like, you know, fame and you know, personality. It's just not a lot of people are like that, especially if you look at, you know, writer-directors and stuff. I really do think that if he was to come back, I mean, maybe, you know, being on the Solo set kind of, you know, put a little spark in him, and maybe he's talked to Kathleen about possibly collaborating in some way. And if he does, I think that's great. But I just don't.
I'm not gonna lie. And we talked about this on a previous cast, but I really enjoyed that story.
Oh, the Solo one.
That he showed up on set, just kind of say hi, but he ended up staying for like 6 hours and kind of inadvertently directed a scene.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie, as a diehard fan, I really like that.
Yeah,
story.
and that's why I would like to see him in that kind of role, as like a collaborative mind, and somebody who works maybe just like, not like an AD, not like an assistant director or something like that, but like somebody who's, you know, helping these directors along the way, you know, because this is everybody's first time directing a Star Wars movie except for JJ now with Episode 9, but like, so it's the first time that they're put in a situation like this, and who better to guide them than the creator? I mean, like, especially for somebody like Ron Howard, who's a really good friend of George, and who's directing.
He worked for the man.
Yeah.
I mean, George directed him American Graffiti. That was George's first like big commercial movie. I mean, THX was kind of like his
student project,
first post USC film. But Graffiti was like his first Hollywood project.
Yeah. So.
And that's where, I mean, he told, that's just crazy to even think that young George told even younger Ron, I'm thinking of doing this Flash Gordon-y type of deal, and it's going to look fucking like something you've never seen.
Yeah, and it was...
And he did it. He fucking did it.
He did it.
And made $4 billion plus from that idea.
I mean, it was, I don't know fate. The Force guided him through this.
Well, dude, I was just gonna say. I mean, does this not just make you feel like at this point in your life you're a loser?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I'm pushing 40, and I'm like, and I have a great family. I love my kid. I love my wife. I love my job, and I'm still sitting here like, I'm nothing compared to some of these people.
Yeah.
Like, these people did shit that will resonate through time.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I feel like a lot of us have stories in our head that we want to tell, and like things that drive us.
But
creatively.
who actually gets it to the point where billions of people around the world have heard those stories and worship those stories and literally dedicate their lives to them?
It's a rare fact.
I mean, Nick and I dedicate at least, sometimes all said and done, 2 hours a week on a Friday night, nonetheless, talking about this shit. And this is an idea that was in some dude's head back in the mid-'70s. That is nuts.
Yeah, it's a fantastic story.
It's insane.
And
Disney's building a whole goddamn resort based on this idea some dude in the 70s had in his head.
Yeah. I mean, it's about as like magical of a ride as anyone could ever have. I mean, that's
it's. I mean, what's more impressive to you, like a Steve Jobs guy, or a Gates guy, or a Google guy, or like a Lucas guy? Because they're all kind of in the same league where they were either in the right place, the right time, or they're thinking the right thing at the right time and executed it, and they literally have become legends.
Yeah, I don't think that
they're all in the same category,
there's
right?
not much of a huge distinguishing factor between all of those people. They're all visionaries in different fields, essentially.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, like, wow, that might be like the first extended George Lucas Lovefest we've gone on. I mean, that was
I do feel bad because I mean, depending on episodes you've listened to, I probably sound like a very anti-Lucas guy, and I'm not. I mean, I literally love the guy. He's everything. I just do not agree whatsoever with his direction of the prequels.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a big missed opportunity. I had such high expectations, and I think that's what probably made it as bad as it was, is that and we all do it, and I think that's why a lot of people were upset with 8. We as fans, as diehard fans, as rabid fans, we love this so much that we start creating stories in our own head, and then we believe that those are the only stories.
Yeah, for sure. I mean...
So I think that's part of the reason I hate the prequel so much. But in the end, I really do think, even outside of my own thoughts, that they were just bad stories.
Yeah, I mean, I think objectively, the directing was bad. Like, just seeing how those fantastic actors in a lot of instances portrayed those roles, you can't really.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess you could salvage clones fixing some of the scenes, because there is a story there. And I'll still go down. I know you probably disagree with me, but I still think Sith is the biggest travesty of all 3.
I know why you say it.
Because to me, that's the most important fucking story, and they fucked it up.
Yeah, I know why. I know why you think that, and I can't argue with you in terms of that reasoning, like it being because of how weak Vader's fall was.
Yeah, but in terms of watchability, okay, it might be like the most tolerable.
Yeah.
But in terms of story, it commits the biggest sin. It effectively takes the most sinister, evil, badass motherfucker and reduces him to a long-haired, whiny pussy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes it so bad in that aspect. But I think that...
And it sticks. Like, it for me at least, it affected Vader.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
like,
you can't say that...
Even to this day, I still can't look at that Vader busting through the Tantive 4 as the same Vader when I was a little kid.
No.
He's fundamentally changed. Because
but
of
I mean, like,
shit.
that's what Disney's doing, trying to remedy that with the cartoon series, with showing him in Rebels a little bit.
Well,
and
fuck
then the
that.
comics
Just give
and
us
stuff
the
like that.
goddamn Vader standalone, motherfuckers. That you remedy everything. That essentially aborts the prequels for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Weiss and Benioff are working on one
I mean,
for this
yeah.
series.
What do we really need from the prequels? Yeah, we know Anakin banged some girl and had kids. Who cares? I want to know why. I want to see why this Vader guy is such a hateful motherfucker by episode 4.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a missing phase that we don't get, and I think that's what we've always.
I want to
talked
see
about.
why he's willing to pretty much kill his kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he fucking cut his arm off, for God's sakes, and he would have killed him if he didn't join him, but Luke just jumped anyways. I mean, I want to know what made him this fucking crazy, because we didn't really get that. You can argue we got that in 1 through 3, but we didn't.
No. I mean, what we got, here's what a lot of people don't understand about the entirety of the Anakin Skywalker saga, is kind of how it should be called out, is that we have the beginning and we have the end, but we don't have the middle. And the middle is the most important part.
The middle is the Clone Wars cartoon, and that's the fucking sad thing.
No, I mean, like, even in my opinion, that's still, like, up until in the Anakin Skywalker saga that I'm kind of, like, laying out here, like, pre-fall to Vader is still his beginning, because you're still seeing him evolve as Anakin Skywalker into what would become Darth Vader. And then in the original trilogy, you have the end, where Anakin is already established as Vader, his turn is complete, and all we see is the menacing, like Obi-Wan put it, he's more machine than man. He's kind of this heartless, hulking beast.
Okay,
and then you see him to his death.
You want to see more of you're talking about the early development of the man in the mask.
Yeah, exactly. That's the middle part that we've never got to experience before outside of novels, and now we have the comics.
Well, that's what we said. Like, Vader's essentially like a shell by 4, 5, 6. Like, he's a vehicle.
He's a broken.
We want to see the story told from his point of view. Like, we want to be in his head.
Exactly, and having that important part of his story be told only through comics and novels is kind of a disservice, because that is probably some of the most interesting things for the most important character in Star Wars history. I mean, this one character, Anakin Skywalker, was the one, literally the one. He was the chosen one who fell off the path and led to the destruction of an entire generation of Jedi that had stood the test of time for thousands of years. So, I mean, to not have his full story told is a little weird.
He was a horrible guy, but the turn we saw was he was a weak man. That's all we learned. Like, he was weak. We didn't learn that he was, like, evil. He was weak.
Like, what we got...
and he became evil because he thought he had to be evil.
Yeah, like, what we got in the films was
a pussy.
Somebody fall because of weakness and because of a weak heart and a weak mind. And then in the original trilogy, we have a murderous machine man who eventually finds his heart at the end.
I mean, yeah, he's a murderous machine man, but you feel like this is a very strong-willed individual. Like, this guy doesn't fuck around.
Oh, yeah.
But then you see Anakin, and the way he's treated in the films, he's essentially a whiny brat bitch.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And
like, you want to smack him. And that's why I say skip the movies, watch the Clone Wars, because he's a confident, badass, take control motherfucker. Because he's already a Jedi Knight. He's no longer under Obi-Wan's fucking tutelage. They're still partners, and this is where you see why they're such good friends. But he's a badass motherfucker.
Yeah. So that's
badass. Like, the way the clones talk about him, they're like, oh, you've never been on a mission with Skywalker? Well, then, yeah, this is just how he does it. Like, he's fucking, it's crazy, but we always fucking win. I mean, he is a bad ass. But we don't get that in the films, and that's honestly why I hate them. Because Anakin is reduced to a chump.
Yeah, he's
a chump.
And he's so easily manipulated. And that's what really
Chumped.
annoys me the most.
Yeah,
is just
chump daddy. Like, he's just adult. He's dumber than Homer Simpson. I mean, he essentially should be Homer in the trilogy.
He does.
Homer
Like,
Simpson.
he literally just eats up whatever Palpatine tells him with no second thought. Like, he has an entire Jedi Order around him.
He even calls him out. Like, he even knows Palpatine's a piece of shit. He's the one that rats him out, and he still gets fucking played.
Yeah, he needs him to save the one he loves. Oh, man.
All right, let's move on. It's pissing me off. Yeah, I'm starting to get pissed
down
off. Like, when I start getting
our
pissed
typical
off,
rabbit hole.
It was a good one, though. Hey, did we not tease this, my friends? Did we not say, like, we don't have much to talk about, but we'll probably end up talking for an hour and a half? Well, guess what?
It happened.
We have force powers. We predict the future. Get used to it.
So if you forgot where we came from here, Jon Favreau has his own live-action Star Wars TV show.
That's what we were talking about.
And that's going to be coming out on the Disney streaming platform sometime maybe in 2019. There's no official release date yet, but I'm guessing 2019.
And you know, we will keep you abreast of it. The same with the talented folks, essentially myself at entertainmentboo.com. So real quick, before we get into our main discussion, yesterday became a new holiday.
It did.
Right, Nick? It became
Happy Jedi Day.
Exactly. And why is that?
It's because finally, after years of being snubbed,
I mean, what are we, 40 years at this point?
God.
Is it 40 or 30
40,
something?
70, 41, right? 77 was when episode 4 came out, so 41 years. Our own Luke Skywalker, a.k.a. Mark Hamill, finally got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Let's just, take a moment, round of applause for Mark Hamill. This dude deserves it. I mean, this guy, not only has he put in work on, the big screen with Star Wars, but this guy, after his career could have gone downhill, what he did was he persisted, and he did everything that he could and everything that he loved through voice acting for TV shows. He did some video games.
Isn't it kind of sad, though, that he played that type of character that essentially blackballed him from ever playing another role again?
I mean, back in those days, that's what happened. Yeah, you were Luke Skywalker, so you can't be anything else.
Harrison broke free of it somehow.
That's because Harrison had George and Steven to fucking make him Indiana Jones. And that's all he needed. You think that's what it was?
Dude. Or do you think that it was just I mean, let's be real. Han's a big guy, but in the end, it was Luke, right? Yeah. I mean, Luke had the most screen time.
He did. I mean, the final, the biggest moment in the trilogy, like you always refer to. I mean, that final fight. That final fight wasn't fucking Han and Vader. It was Luke and Vader. And I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think if we timed it, episodes 4 through 6, Hamill's probably on screen the most.
Yeah, I think so.
The most time.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to think Han. I mean, what's the lead time up until we get to Mos Eisley in episode 4? I mean, you have at least
right. It's. I mean, Leia's definitely sprinkled in there too, but I think it probably goes Hamill, Fisher.
Yeah,
Ford.
I mean, because in episode 4, I mean, you have the entire time period where Han and Chewie leave after dropping them off.
Because we can't count Ford as being on screen when he's in carbonite. That doesn't count.
That does not count.
Because that's a prop.
He's literally not on screen.
So Fisher at least gets some time up on him when she's playing, the Bausch bounty hunter.
Yep. I mean, other than that, you have some.
Boy, we were fucking dorks.
You do have a chunk in episode 5 where there's Han with no Luke because he's lost out in the Hoth kind of snowstorm. But it's only a few.
Yeah,
it's not a long.
Yeah, I still think in the end Hamill. But either way, it really did surprise me that Hamill did not have a star. But I'm glad that he did get one, and we kind of got to watch it play out in modern times. So it was all over social media. The first thing he said when they unveiled it was they spelled it right, because a lot of people fuck up his last name because people are stupid. But he really genuinely seemed
Mark
happy.
Hamill is the reason I love him so much is because he's so he's like a child. He has a childlike exuberance, this energy.
I think he gets his place in entertainment history, and he understands what he means to a lot of us nut jobs. So I think he plays into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he's always performing, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I mean,
he's always trying to make people smile and be happy.
I've never seen him at like a con or in person, but I've never heard like a bad story about somebody who's met him.
Oh, dude, I would have killed to have seen one of his panels. Because, I mean, I watched, a few of them on screen or even on YouTube, and, he's so charismatic. Yeah. Like, when that's what I mean. When he is in front of people, he is performing.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the image that, the Star Wars official Twitter put up.
Just look at his facial expressions. Like, this isn't... I mean, look at him compared to Harrison
That's
Ford.
exactly what I was going to say.
There you go.
It's like,
there you
Harrison's
go.
kind of got like his half smirk going on like he always does.
Even compared to George Lucas. I mean, Hamill is always playing it up. Always.
I mean, look how he's dressed, too. He's got like a pair of jeans on and a sport coat. Like, the dude is just...
Yeah, he had like crazy polka dot socks. I mean, he sat in that Jedi Master Luke sacrificial... like, he showed that he could actually fold his feet up into his knees, which I can't do. So, yeah, I mean, he's I love the guy. I mean, I've always... When it comes down to it, I've always loved the aesthetics of the Empire.
Oh, yeah.
I love the look of the Empire. I mean, I love the look of Vader. I love the look of their ships, the TIEs, the Star Destroyers. But deep down, I've always rooted for the hero, which is Luke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to lie, I do think the X-Wing is up there in terms of design. I love that design, but outside of that, the Rebel ships are boring.
Yeah, the whole one is definitely not something that I would call, aesthetically pleasing.
I mean, dude, even the First Order knows that they can design better looking ships. Well, I mean, they just make better looking ships.
they just kind of straight rip from the Empire, which...
The TIE Fighter's badass. I mean, that is a badass fucking fighter.
It looks kind of cool.
The Star Destroyers are badass. I mean, just the Empire's always looked cooler to me, but I've always been a homer for the hero, which is my man Luke, a.k.a. Mark Hamill.
So, I mean...
Or Cockknocker. He actually got his star for Cockknocker, I believe.
From Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah, exactly.
I just love him. I love him so much because, I mean, for you Kevin Smith fans out there, you probably know he had a heart attack recently, so, like, when he put...
Well, that's what Smith tweeted out, like... He essentially said, like, yeah, you got this for Cockknocker.
And then I love Hamill's response, too, because he comes back and says, like, yeah, you're probably right. When are we doing the sequel? So, like, I mean...
Well, shit, did we not talk, like, how there's a good chance he's probably going to be in Guardians 3.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Through social media. Like, literally, a random fan brokered a deal between him and James Gunn to be in Guardians 3.
Pretty much. I mean, we don't have... It's probably going to happen.
I can almost guarantee it's going down. I don't know if it's going to be a major role. Like, it's probably not going to be like a Kurt Russell deal.
It'll probably...
But, I mean, I hope he gets like a little 2-bit deal.
Yeah, it'll probably be like a Nathan Fillion type role like he had in the first one where he, does the voice for some, primary... I guess you would say like the one-off character who has like the most lines in the film or something like that. So... I'm interested to see what they do for that for sure, but like, I just want to see what he does now. I mean, because we know Luke is ending. Like, he's only got one movie left, so I mean, we're not going to have Luke anymore. I want to see what.
Well, we don't even technically know if he has one movie left. I mean, according to Hamill, he's an unemployed actor.
So, I mean, I just want to see what he does after this.
I mean, what do you honestly think, Nick? Do we get Force Ghost in 9?
I think you have to, right?
Or is he gone for good and we just maybe get a voiceover?
I want Force Ghost Luke, man, because we don't have any other Force Ghosts. If we're going to, you don't need them. Yeah, obviously you don't need them. But like, Force Ghost Obi-Wan played a pretty important role in the old ones, in the original trilogy. I mean, showing up.
I mean, he was huge. He's the one that told him to go to Dagobah.
Showing up on Hoth.
And he's the one that fucking told him he had a sister.
Exactly.
So I'd say that's two big interventions.
Yeah, pretty big. So, I mean, you only have the space of one movie to do it. So I think that Force Ghost Luke definitely has to pop up and be like, hey, Rey. Or, hey, maybe even like, hey, Kylo. Like, I know that shit didn't exactly go down between us like it was supposed to, but I want you to know that, you were not only my Padawan, but you were my family, and, maybe try to break that rage that he has, or maybe show Rey, the correct path. I mean, there's a lot for him to do in Force Ghost form.
Oh, I think there's plenty of places for Force Ghost lose. I mean, for all we know, like we talked about last week, there's one of the big reasons Trevorrow got himself fired is because he wanted Luke present in the movie.
Yeah. So
like Luke was supposed to still be...
he was a big part. Him...
alive and contributing.
Yeah, he's like, oh, wait, I just wrote this whole script where Luke was alive. Shit. Can't use it.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to be back in Force Ghost form. It's inevitable. Like, the dude is too big of a part of Star Wars.
Now, is he wearing what he wore in the Crate Showdown and looking like that, or is he long-haired wearing what he succumbed to the Force?
I think there's got to be a middle ground, right? Like, he's not like old haggard Acto Luke.
It's weird because Obi maintained the form that he passed in. So did Yoda. Anakin did not.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Qui-Gon did. So, again, that just shows you that Lucas loved breaking continuity just to cram in his bullshit.
Maybe it's like they can choose the form that they're shown in, like something like that. I mean...
Well, it just goes to show you that, again, as much as we just loved him, man, did he fuck up Return of the Jedi.
Like, he might have been a...
I mean, he took the ending and just fucking pissed on it and then poured gas on it and dropped the match.
Well, you can't have crispy fucking Anakin as the Force Ghost, for sure. I mean, originally it was Prowse.
No, well, use the old fucking guy. The guy we saw with the fucking helmet off. Like, that's what Anakin looked like when he fucking died.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was there in the original movie, so just leave it.
God damn it, Nick. You had to go and piss me off with the fucking prequels. We just had a positive discussion for the first time about Lucas and some of his decisions in life, and then you got to bring up the fucking Return of the Jedi.
I think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be the fight with Kylo Luke, because that was clearly like a visage that he put on to look younger, to.
I mean,
maybe like throw some gray in the hair, gray in the beard.
It's gonna be Last Jedi Master Luke. Guaranteed, if he comes back. That's what he's going to look like. Long hair, beard, with that gaudy Jedi attire.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that would be fine with me, as long as he's there. I think he needs to be there.
Well, because in the end, now that I think about it, I mean, the only one that breaks the fucking continuity is fucking Anakin, because George decided, like, oh, yeah, let's fucking sub in Hayden Christensen, because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's sub in what Anakin looked like fucking 25 years or so before this event happened.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly the move that I was expecting, but...
What the fuck? Oh, come on. Okay, let's go.
All right, moving on.
Let's get on.
Congratulations, Mark Hamill, on your Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Yes. Well-deserved. And, may
we love you.
Be
we know you'll never listen to this, but we love you. Hopefully you feel that through the Force. Ready? Bling, 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 bling. That's how you send shit through the Force.
Yeah. So, Force.
All right, dude. Wave. So let's get into the main talking point here, even though we're already an hour in, and this may end up only being 30 minutes because, like I've said multiple times, Nick is a Star Wars communist, at least when it comes to the animated TV shows. So, Star Wars Rebels concluded this past Monday, which when you listen to this will probably be 2 Mondays ago, but it doesn't matter. It ended with episodes, I believe, 13 and 14, so season 4 was only 14, but that was the series finale. And I have to say, unlike a lot of TV shows, really unlike most outside of, at this point, Breaking Bad, the series finale was about as perfect as it could get. Because to me, it provided closure for main character and story threads that could have had a dire impact on the original trilogy. So what am I talking about, Nick? Well, we can't have characters in this Rebel timeline, which again took place a few years before the Battle of Yavin, so we know before A New Hope. We could not have characters like Kanan Jarrus, who is a Jedi, Ezra, who was a Jedi, Grand Admiral Thrawn, who was one of the most strategic and well-respected admirals in the Galactic Empire Navy. We couldn't have these characters come out of Rebels unscathed or alive or whatever, right? I mean, because it wouldn't have made sense that we never heard about them in 4, 5, and 6. In the movies and comics, nothing.
Yeah, I think that was the first thing that we may have talked about in terms of just the final season of Rebels was what was going to happen to everybody.
It had to happen.
Yeah. So, yes, I have not seen it, but I'm not going to let Matt sit here and hold his tongue. I told him that he can go through all the spoilers.
So by the way, people, big time spoilers. We're talking series finale Rebels, and it'll bleed into past seasons of Rebels and future predictions.
Quick.
So if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and tune out.
Quick shout out to Achromatic again. That's the guy who told us last week that all of the episodes of Rebels are up on the Disney Now app. They are, and I started watching it again from the beginning because it's been such a long time since I finished season 1. They're all up there, even if you don't have cable. If you have no cable subscription, everything's up there up till season 4. You can't get all of
that's
season 4.
That's pretty badass, people. I mean, that's a lot of content.
Yeah, so three full
lot of
seasons.
Content.
I'm 7 episodes into season 1. I will be binging through it when I can. Apologies to the Force. Apologies to Star Wars gods. I'm
and then after this, he's going to rewatch the Clone Wars on Netflix.
Look, after this, I will say this. One of my friends at work lent me the two novels, the new Thrawn novel and A New Dawn.
He's going to read.
I'm going to read words, so no pictures. And A New Dawn, which is the prequel book to Star Wars Rebels. So I have a lot of Star Wars on my plate, people, and I'm excited as fuck.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Literally, that type of life is a good life. So anyways, back to the Rebels series finale. So it was fantastic. Again, like I said, it tied up things as perfectly as it could get. So here's what happened. In the end, Ezra essentially, I don't want to say sacrificed himself because his fate is unknown, but he essentially put himself on a mission where he knew that he was not going to return to his friends. And the mission was to stop Thrawn, who showed up at Lothal, which was, Ezra's home city, home planet, with his Chimera, with his fleet. And Thrawn was just decimating motherfuckers, right? I mean, he opened up bombardments on Lothal. He's blown up innocents, this, that, and the other thing. And Ezra's like, fuck it, I gotta go do something. So he gets himself on the Chimera. He confronts Thrawn. He gets Thrawn locked in a force hold in the exact same pose, by the way, that Kanan used to save everyone when Kanan died, which I thought was fantastic. Like, dude, it literally matches the frame. Like the force hold he's putting on Thrawn. And as he's holding Thrawn, if you've watched Rebels, there are these beasts that they come in contact with. They're called the Purgils. And the Purgils are what taught humans and aliens how to use hyperspace. So anyways, long story short, he somehow communicates to these motherfuckers. They show up on Lothal. They come in. They take out half of Thrawn's fleet. And then they attach their tentacles to the Chimera, which is Thrawn's command ship. So as these tentacles are holding Thrawn, like they bust through the glass, they're holding him. Ezra's holding him in place. Ezra essentially knows what's going to happen, and that's the fact that these Purgils are going to make a jump into hyperspace. But Ezra knows if he holds Thrawn in place, that he's essentially going to remove the threat from Lothal and his friends, and he's going to save the day. And that's what happens. He gets sucked away. Again, I don't know how humans survive hyperspace when there's no fucking windows in the spaceship. Because I'm pretty damn positive that the Purgils blew out the windows to grasp Thrawn in the first place. So that's kind of suspect, but the reason I know he's still alive and Thrawn are still alive is because of the epilogue of the episode, which sets up, to me, a lot of hints for the next Star Wars animated series, which I believe may be called Star Wars Resistance. And the reason for that in the epilogue is we get to hear Sabine doing a narration, which essentially says, the Battle of Endor is taking place. The Rebels have won. Hera fought in it. Commander Rex fought in it. By the way, if you've ever seen Return of the Jedi and the old guy with the white beard, that is now officially Commander Rex, which I think is fucking radical. And again, just shows you how important these animated shows are to the live-action films. But it also mentions, which I didn't bring up the Nick yet, so I'm going to surprise him here, that Hera and Kanan had a son.
Yeah.
And his name is Jason.
Jason. They're reaching into the old EU again.
Jason Syndulla.
And they spell it the same way. Jacen.
I'm pretty sure it's the Jacen. That's just what I ran with because I saw other sites doing it. So there's potential that Jason could also be within this Star Wars Resistance universe, because not only is he going to inherit his mother's insane piloting skills, but there's a great chance that he may inherit his father's Force affinity. So there's that. But the big thing was, Sabine essentially said, Ezra told me before he went on this mission, like, I hope you'll know what to do. And she always thought that meant, please take care of Lothal in my absence. But she says to herself as she looks at a mural of the Rebels, I think I now know what Ezra meant, and I need to go and find him. And as she turns to walk towards a ship, who shows up to meet her? Ahsoka fucking Tano in a pimp-ass, like, hooded robe and a staff, dude. She's holding, like, this fucking staff and just taps on it like, all right, Sabine, let's roll. So they essentially end Rebels, setting up the premise that Sabine and Ahsoka are headed off into potentially the unknown regions of the galaxy to search for Ezra.
Like, if that's not the perfect setup for Resistance.
Right? I mean, right? And that was my whole point in my editorial today. It was like, the way that this series ended, it almost tees up an animated series called Star Wars Resistance.
Yeah, I mean, just think about what that means. Going into the unknown regions, we know that's where Snoke operated for such a long time. That being the... Now, we are assuming...
I mean, we could see how he... And I don't know if you heard this, but I think it finally was revealed that Snoke essentially created the First Order thanks to Operation Cinder.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, essentially, that's when he pounced and took over the remnants of the Empire and turned into the First Order. So that would all fall in the Star Wars Resistance timeline. Yeah. I mean, we're not talking... Again, we don't meet the Resistance to almost, 39 years after Jedi?
Yeah.
Isn't it like 38, 39 years?
Yeah, somewhere around there. It's definitely in the 30s. So...
Yeah, so there's plenty of time. Even the early time, which this Sabine and Ahsoka adventure is kind of hinting at. I mean, it could be even 1 or 2 years after the Battle of Endor. But, I mean, from what we know, I believe that the Resistance almost started forming within 8 to 10 years after the fall of the Empire.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to consider that the time period that we're seeing this new trilogy play out, the First Order is already a juggernaut within the galaxy. So, I mean, you still have the entire period of time where they're forming. And like you said...
And the Empire's still somewhat around after Endor. I mean, we learned that through Star Wars Battlefront 2. I mean, they're still powerful, and they're planning to essentially blow up systems at this point. So even if it's set a year after Endor, we're still going to get a ton of narratives that'll help fill in gaps between OT and the new Skywalker trilogy, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, dude, I think that's the perfect way. I mean, it's almost like you now expect Sabine and Ahsoka, to be a part of this new show just because of how it ended.
But here's my point, and I think this is the brilliance of David Filoni and the way he's woven his animated stories together. Because if you think about Rebels was the spiritual successor to the Clone Wars. So what he did is he created a whole new main cast of characters, but at the same time, he would dip into characters he created in the Clone Wars and fold them back in.
Ahsoka, Rex. I mean, those two for sure.
Rex, Hondo, the pirate.
Yeah.
I mean, huge. I mean, he played a huge role in Clone Wars and in Rebels. He plays a huge role in the fucking finale. They call back the fucking Hondo.
Wow, holy shit.
That's what I mean, dude. That's how great this finale is, by the way. So, like I'm saying, if this is Star Wars Resistance, I'm not saying it's going to be Star Wars Resistance starring Sabine and Ahsoka. I think it's going to be Star Wars Resistance starring a whole new cast of characters with the inclusion of run-ins with Sabine and Ahsoka, just like the Phoenix Squadron, which was the new main cast of Rebels, ran into Ahsoka and Rex and other characters we learned about in the Clone Wars. It just makes too much sense.
Yeah, it does. So I'm looking forward to it. I will try.
Are you going to watch this next one, Nick, if it starts?
Shit.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay, please. For me at least, will you at least if we get a new Star Wars animated show, will you at least watch it from
I will
day
watch
one?
it from day one. I will commit 100% right here, right now. Save this, clip it, and
thank you. Because you're only doing a disservice
I know.
to yourself.
I'm only fucking myself over, so I can't say that I'm doing it for a specific reason. It's because I am a piece of shit. That's why.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have to take it to that level. I mean, I just called you a communist, not a piece of shit.
But now,
a Star Wars communist at that, not even like a full-on red.
I really do feel shitty because it's not only you. I mean, there's other people that I know that
I guess you could blame it on because when the Clone Wars came out, you might have been in like your, maybe your college years or right out of high school years, so you might not have been like in tune to it. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could use that excuse.
I mean, it was definitely, let's see, it was 2006 it started? 8? Yeah, I was 8.
Well, they launched it with the movie. You got to remember, it all started with the movie that essentially bombed because I still think people were still kind of aching from the prequels, and they're like, you're giving us a fucking cartoon from the prequels?
Yeah, I remember. I saw it in the theaters.
But I went to it, and I'm like, hey, I went to it. I was like, hey, fuck it, it's Star Wars, right? I mean, I was still at that point, even as upset as I was at Star Wars, I was still like, hey, it's fucking new Star Wars.
Star Wars in the theater, please. I'm definitely going to go see it.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, they're going to it's a TV show too?
Yeah,
all right, I'll watch it. It's fucking Star Wars.
I saw the movie, and I didn't... Okay, I may have watched the first few episodes live, because it was on Cartoon Network at that time, and it was 2008, so I was in college. So I might have watched like the first few and then kind of trailed off of it. But, I mean, I definitely picked it up hard when it came to Netflix and everything like that. So, I definitely wasn't around for the live run, just like Rebels, yes. But now I don't have an excuse. Whenever Resistance drops, whatever network it may be on, I mean, I hope it's on Disney proper and not fucking XD or one of these, niche networks. Put fucking Star Wars where it belongs, on the fucking... The home of the mouse on Disney Channel. I mean,
what are you a cable cutter, like a full cable cutter, or are you?
Because my cable is
that's
built
right.
into
So they don't carry Disney XD?
No, because
that's like standard on almost every cable package now. I mean, I get it through fucking PS View.
I'll have to check again, but I'm pretty sure that it's not included on my cable package because...
That's crazy. I mean, I honestly thought XD was just as normal as regular Disney.
No, I don't even get ESPN
for most,
dude.
Oh yeah, you are living in and that's crazy because you live in Texas, which is like the most red state in the nation, but you're essentially living in a socialistic commune.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Where you have to buy into their policies.
Yeah, it's just at my apartment complex, they don't allow
You're
you
living in
to
China, man. I mean, you're literally forced. You only have one option. They're forcing an option.
Yeah, that's it. Seriously, that's it. Even when it comes to my internet, I have Spectrum or AT&T and
couldn't
AT&T
you could
trash.
still could you not just cancel the cable, or that's just built into your rent?
Into the rent. I've asked them multiple times, can I just cancel it? They're like, nope, it's built into the rent. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't even make fun of you for not using
Trust
View.
me.
I mean, you're just
trust me. If I could,
dude, it doesn't even sound like you're living in America.
No, we have to bow to the emperor every morning in this apartment complex.
Holy shit, dude!
But Yeah, dude, there is literally nothing I can do about it. And I've said multiple times, like, if I was able to get off of this apartment, like, cable deal, I would have PS View in a minute. Like, it's too good of a deal.
Oh, I love it. Even though they jacked the fucking price up, but it's still worth it.
So I'm just kind of at the mercy of that at the moment. But
yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, this could be another thing that may be exclusive to their VOD.
it could be. Dude, honestly, if you really want to bring in everybody, if you want to get all the Star Wars people in there, just be like, yo, everything Star Wars that's not in a theater is now on Disney streaming service. It's not going to be on TV. And honestly, I'd prefer that, dude, because, like, no commercials. And if you do it, like...
I would do it. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, I would pay $10 a month for it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd pay HBO money for it. $15 a month.
100%. But I do think that Iger said that the price point initially was going to be lower than Netflix because... And this is what he said, because the content isn't going to be as diverse. I mean, it's only Disney shit. Well, and
right, they own the license, so they're not going to have to pay anyone. Like Netflix, their biggest expense is paying the license fees.
So Disney doesn't have to worry about that. So
you're right. I mean, he's completely right. So I mean, outside of having the bandwidth to pump down 4K quality content, which Netflix has, but you even have to pay for. That's really the only expense Disney will have to worry about is really just building the infrastructure.
And don't worry, they've already done that with the movies. Like, they've built the infrastructure in more.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, oh yeah, well, The Last Jedi just paid for a new fucking data center for our video on demand service.
So they don't need to worry about it.
Literally, I mean, it paid for that and the workforce for probably 10 years.
Yep. When you bring in a cool bill, you don't need to worry about much, especially when you bring in two and a half bill from the
amount of money, like the amount of money Disney has right now. Oh yeah,
dude,
insane.
They have enough money where they were like, we will pay $54 billion just for Marvel.
They're trying
characters.
To buy other networks essentially. Yeah, well, they did. I mean, the deal still hasn't gone through, I don't think, but I mean, they're trying to buy a lot of Fox's properties for $52 billion.
Yeah, let them have it. Fuck, like.
That's billion people. Like, really process that through your heads.
Yeah, that's not like a desperation buy or anything. That's just like, we just kind of want it. Like, we don't need it. We know.
Exactly. They're not doing it. It's not like they're doing it to save themselves. They're doing it because they can.
Yeah, we're just like, yeah, I know we've made...
And in the end, they're probably doing it to secure a select group of licenses, and the rest they just don't even care. It's like, okay, well, whatever.
They don't give a fuck about Squirrel Girl.
It's what Disney unfortunately did to the Clone Wars. Like, yeah, we own it now, but we don't care. So fuck you and start Rebels because that's going to be under our banner.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what happened, and it sucks.
I mean, it sucks for.
I really think Filoni had a planned end for Rebels. For Clone Wars. And I think it really would have taken us to the edge of Anakin right to Episode 3.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, you don't make
and really
that show
shown
unless
like
you do
how,
it like that.
Right, and really shown how he was starting to teeter a lot. Like they hint at like he's brazen and rebellious and kind of does whatever the fuck he wants, and sometimes he may be, a little more drastic than the Jedi way, but they don't really show you how he has that dark side in him.
Yeah. So,
I think that's where Filoni was headed.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna make a Clone Wars show that features Anakin and Obi-Wan as primary characters, you don't make it unless you have something like that. You have like a closing moment or some sort of story that leads up until Episode 3 and kind of shows how he gets there from Episode 2. I think that was the entire purpose of that show, and he didn't get to do it, and that's kind of shitty. Because maybe if he did get the end that he wanted, for all of its flaws, 3 might have been a little bit more bearable. But
well, this shit still came out after 3, so again, like I said, they're the band-aids for the prequels. They're just the kind of massage people like me that really took offense to those narratives and try to make us feel better about the franchise.
Yeah,
and it worked. I mean, I'm rewatching the show for the second time. I mean, it's been years since I watched Clone Wars, so I a lot of what I'm seeing almost feels new to me. But it reinforces me, like, yeah, these are the stories I wanted to see about Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme even Jar Jar and C-3PO and R2 in that era. This is what I wanted to see, not the live action fucking trash we got.
Yep. But yeah.
And really, I mean, just the way Rebels ended and how it could be setting up the next animated series, it just goes to show you, like, how in tune the animated division is. And I give all that credit to David Filoni.
Dude, I mean, the storytelling for the animated division is film worthy, honestly. I mean, like,
do you remember the Clone Wars cartoon shorts that came out in between episodes 2 and 3?
Yeah, that was done by
Gennady. Yeah, the guy that did Samurai Jack.
Yeah, I have those on DVD.
Those are excellent.
Yeah, that showed a lot of Grievous, a lot of. I mean, it wasn't the 3D.
Well,
files.
if you remember, the second season literally leads right into the beginning of episode 3.
Yeah, it was like,
because it shows how they kidnap Palpatine, and then it shows them calling Obi-Wan and Anakin in to save the day.
Yeah, that was a really good TV show. I have them both seasons on DVD, but it's back at home in Louisiana.
They were, for those of you that, because these would have been out and I'd say 03, 04-ish.
Yeah, they were way before the Clone.
Because they came out before 05. I mean, they were in between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. And they released as like 1 minute, 2 minute little shorts. But there were, 20 or 23 in what they called seasons. So if you watch them all together, it's essentially like an hour and 15-minute long look at those time periods. And really the art style is very stylistic.
Yeah.
They're kind of elongated looking with very sharp lines, but they tell great stories.
And it's like if you've seen like Samurai Jack and stuff like that, it's the same artist, so you'll recognize that art style.
So yeah,
and I mean, like it even shows how Grievous gets his cough and stuff. Like, I believe it was Mace. Mace like crushes his chest with the Force.
Well, yeah, there's a great fight between Anakin and Asajj Ventress, and it shows why they have so much beef and like how strong she really was, but again, how much stronger Anakin truly is to everyone else. It shows a moment where Anakin's future is essentially predicted, where he's going to become this all-encompassing force of evil. I mean, they even show that shit. They're just good. I mean, just look them up. It's Gennady whatever Nick said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Samurai Jack guy, there's 2 seasons of it. I don't know if you can even get it anymore. You probably have to bootleg it from somewhere.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can.
I don't think you can get it digital anywhere. I mean, I have it on just straight DVD, and I've ripped it up through, burners and whatnot.
Yeah, that's how I have mine through DVD too. So I'm not sure. I haven't even looked on Amazon for it. Yeah, you might have to go pirate it because I don't think that's something that Disney's gonna re-release, and I don't know if.
No, fuck no.
Honestly, after the.
I don't even know if it's considered canon anymore.
That's what I was gonna say. After the release of Clone Wars, I think that was kind of stricken from canon almost because it overlapped with the story.
Well, yeah, they essentially were telling the same stories. Yeah. So who knows? I mean, who knows? Well. Technically,
that was closer to the end.
Technically, the first season tells Tales as Anakin still being a Padawan, because they actually have in that show they show where he loses his braid.
Yep. I remember that.
So maybe it is technically canon-ish.
Yeah, it's hard. Probably not anymore after they struck down the old EU. It might have been like old canon,
But the Clone Wars is canon.
Current Clone Wars, like Clone Wars TV show on Netflix.
Even though that was a Lucas deal, that is still considered legit. Like they consider all the movies and the animated shows are canon based, and I believe the comics are now too.
The new comics are for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know
like the new runs.
Yeah, the new
least.
runs are 100%. But the old stuff's not. Like any of the old written material is not. So yeah, check it out. I mean, there's just some more good Star Wars nuggets out there for you guys if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, hey, Star Wars fucking owns. Just get used to it. I know there's people out there that don't understand it. That's fine. They just don't get it, and they're usually not on the same plane as us in terms of IQ and other intelligent-based tasks.
Yeah.
There is. It seems like most sci-fi Star Wars type of fans are usually the more intelligent type, the more creative, the more imaginative. You know, because that's what turned us on as kids. Not real life stuff, fucking pretend stuff. The Star Wars tales we were taught as kids, these are the things that motivate us to go outside and fucking make pew 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 sounds and yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, you don't get that from real life.
Holding wrapping paper tubes and clashing them together like lightsabers.
Fuck yeah, man.
Come on.
Yeah.
It all came from this.
I mean, when I was a little kid, the Kenner lightsaber props were literally like so big. They're these big plastic things with holes in it, so when you swing it, it would make like whistling sounds, and they consider that to equate to the buzz of the lightsaber. I didn't have the fucking master replica shit or master effects stuff.
Now, I mean
these things, I'll never forget. They literally, like Nick said, they were the same diameter of a wrapping paper tube, so not even close to the diameter of a real lightsaber. They just look odd, but hey, we're like, this is what we got.
And now we're in a world where you have multiple custom sabersmith shops that make
Nick sends guys to Disney to mail them fucking lightsabers.
That's right. I do. And then you get,
I mean, that's where we're at, like, legit. I mean, Nick literally has a movie prop authentic looking Kylo,
and it's fantastic. I love it.
Right, and you say you can pop all the blades out too, so you can hilt or blade.
Yeah, that's what I have it sitting on my stand. It's because it came with like a stand that comes with it, so I got the blades popped out, just sitting there like a display piece. Very nice.
I honestly, I mean, until they figure out the real one, I think that is probably the best you can get, is the one where you can go blade in or blade out, because I mean, a lightsaber hilt in itself is a work of art. Oh yeah,
dude, like,
because of how personal they were to each Jedi. I mean, that's why I love that they're not just generic blasters. Each one has its own unique look to it because it reflects its owner.
And that was one of the scenes, and I mean, even in the Clone Wars TV series, when Ahsoka was protecting the Padawans, I believe in season 4 or 5.
Yeah, they're building their sabers
and one of them
on that ice planet.
And one of them was a Wookiee, and he had a very specific saber that was tailored and built by him to reflect like his...
Well, I mean, you can even look at the Skywalker family saber and then Vader's saber. It's almost identical, except Vader's is more badass looking because he adds that black tip to it, essentially, is the biggest change.
Yeah. I mean, hell, if you wanted to, Matt, you could get a Darth Haywood saber commissioned. Look however you want.
I know. I mean, I would pay for just a hilt, but I think it's neat to have the LEDs.
Yeah, you gotta have the electronics in it. It's just too cool. I mean,
shit. Think about Luke's self-made lightsaber. He literally modeled it off of his trainer. Yep. I mean, he modeled it off of Obi's.
Yep.
I mean, his dad's saber is not reflected at all in his green saber.
No.
Not one bit. I mean, it's almost all Obi.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like, maybe a little bit down towards, like, the black pieces towards the bottom. But, yeah, it's definitely all Obi. That, like, the emitter looks just like Obi, even down to the pommel.
Yeah, he almost went old school. Like, I mean, Anakin, to me, again, that's why I love the Empire aesthetic. He had that industrial look down.
Yeah.
I mean, his lightsaber's pimp. It looks boss. Like, it looks tough.
Yeah, it does. I mean, when you look at it, it's just like, it's so meaty. Like, a lot of the lightsabers are very thin and easy, light to handle. Yeah. It is meaty, and it looks like it would be heavy to handle.
Yeah, Luke's looks like he went, he's one of those kids who's like, yo, I'm going old school.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, his literally looks old school, like, like old school, old Republic Jedi, like ghetto almost.
Yeah, well, that's the only reference point he had.
Exactly. It was Obi-Wan's busted ass shit.
That's really kind of all he had to look at.
Because, I mean, if you really study Obi's saber in A New Hope, it is a busted ass looking saber. I mean, it's dirty as shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, he probably had it.
I mean, it looks like garbage.
He probably just had it like sitting in a box. I mean, like.
Oh, it looks like he was shooting blasters at it just for fun. I mean, it looks like scarred almost. I mean, it's like it's so dirty.
Yeah, I mean, time has definitely.
Qui-Gon would have been pissed.
Yeah, I mean, think of.
Anakin would have gave him shit too,
think
just
of
for all the shit that Obi-Wan gave Anakin.
Protect this weapon with your.
That's one of the worst lines, by the way. Again, one of the worst lines, and the way he delivers it, it's almost as bad as, "Oh my God, we're Jedi, we're smarter than this."
Pretty bad.
When they get caught by the ray shields. All right, let's end it on that because I can just see myself. My blood pressures raises every time I even think about that shit. All right, so as predicted, because we do have the Force and we looked into the future, we somehow turned a somewhat light agenda into an hour and 40-minute fucking podcast. That's just what we do here on the Star Wars Time Show. So, love it or leave it. USA for life, right, baby? Woo! It's just some random quote they play on the radio here. Anyways, my friends, you know what we'll do. We will dig up, if we have to, some sort of Star Wars topic to bring at you next week. We try to get you a new episode every week. Timelines may be off a little bit because we record Fridays. They go out the week after. But who cares? You're listening. We're Star Wars and we're loving. We're just always dreaming about new things from that galaxy that is so far, far away. So in between now and then, may the Force be with you always.